Ever have those days when it seems like nothing goes right, and the longer you have to deal with it, the worse your attitude gets? That's kind of been me today. And it all started with glue on my fingers. Hi, this is Kelly with Kelly's Creative Dream Studios. And you know me, glue and my fingers just don't work. So, welcome to day 2 of our 25 days of Christmas. And since I had this paper pad out, I thought I would go ahead and do another card with it. And I'm going to show you how it goes together. I'm starting with, if I can get a hold of it, the Santa's Workshop paper line from the Holiday 2018 Stampin' Up! Catalog. I will put the names of what I use down in the description box, but nothing is current, but you can do a search and see if you can find it on eBay or someplace if you want to grab it. So Santa's Workshop's what we're working with. We're going to work with this one and this one today. Now I had the full sheet here. There we go. First off, let me show you this beautiful candy cane striped flocking. Now, when you're using flocking, when you're gluing to flocking, you have to do a little something different because flocking doesn't like, and because it's ridged, it doesn't like to take adhesives very well. But I'm going to show you how we fix that. And then there's this paper, and I've trimmed off all the border on the sheet that I used. See if I can keep this in frame. And then there are 6 rows, 6 identical rows to this sheet. I've cut off 5 of them because I can only get 1 strip of the image that I need for the card from each row. And then I'll have the other things to play with on other cards. So I cut those apart. And another one of those things where I got ahead of myself and I'd already glued the flocking to the card base before I remembered, hold up, we're supposed to do this on camera. I have the other 4 done. So I've started with a garden green cardstock base, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then the flocked candy cane is 4 inches by 5 1/4. So you've got that little bit of a border around the edge. Okay, then we have a strip of garden green, and this is 5 1/2 by 2 1/2 because it goes all the way to the edge of the card and able to get as much of your image in there as you can get. Okay, so I'm going to glue this to the base first using my Tombow, and I'm going to move this paper so I can sit down. It has been one of those afternoons. But I'm trying desperately to make sure that I not just keep up, but I get ahead so I can enjoy the 4th of July weekend. Y'all have plans? This will be the 2nd year that Bob has been home for the entire season. And he's decided we're going to cook out. Well, we're going to cook out Friday night so that I can enjoy the fire ring and most marshmallows and make s'mores and all that fun stuff. And then we may go someplace for 4th of July. We haven't totally decided yet. I'm good either way. I usually turn on Capital 4th, and that's what I do for my 4th of July. Or the Macy's 4th of July. You record one and I watch the other, and then I can go back and watch whichever one I've recorded. Okay, so we have this on there, and now, like I said, flocking doesn't like to take a regular glue very well, so I would suggest my crafter's glue. Now, I was using my silicone, and it doesn't get all the way down into this tub as it's starting to work down. So what I did was I took one and I trimmed it down to make a glue paddle. And then I can go in here. Now keep in mind this is really thick stuff, so I just need it. I don't need to totally cover the base of this. This isn't kindergarten where we had to see how much paste we can get on our project because, you know, more was better, right? This isn't the case. I'm just going to kind of treat it like dimensionals and just kind of spread it around. And by the way, this is where I got the glue on me before. This is one of the spots. I got it in 2, actually. And I'll make sure that my card is going the right direction. And I want to go as close to the top as I can, leave about a 1/2 inch. And you'll see why in just a minute. Okay, so I'm going to turn this over and really press this down. And I probably should use my roller and give that a chance to really burnish into that flocking good. I love the feel of flocked paper. So there we go. That's going to sit. Now, I also use the dies from Merry Christmas to All, and I cut out the Christmas. This has Christmas, holidays, Merry, and Happy. And I cut out Christmas from the Garden Green. And who else does not like using these detailed things because they're so hard to glue down, right? Well, I'm going to show you a trick. And some of you probably know the trick I'm going to show you. But this is how I wound up wearing my glue earlier today. Because, you know, me and glue, they go together like oil and water. Okay, so I'm going to turn this over. And I'm going to put a little bit of my Tombow up here for me to get my fingers in. Because you know I'm going to. And it's not going to take very much. Less than a dime size of this glue is perfect. And then I'm going to use one of my daubers that I use strictly for glue. And these are not expensive, and as often as infrequently, I guess, as I use these, I can just use it and get the glue on there, and then I can throw it away when I'm done. And then I'm just going to dab. Now I might have to add just a little bit more glue. I think I do. I think. You don't want so much that it's going to squirt out from underneath your letters when you go to put it down. It's not going to take much. And I'm going to hold that right there as I dab across my letters. And you don't want to get too much because these fine tips on some of these letters will turn on you. And then you got a mess. Don't ask how I know. Then I'm going to gently lift that up, move that out of the way, bring my card in. And I'm just going to lay this down. Now with my trimmers, sometimes it's a little trickier than others. And I'm going to try and center it as best I can. But that's not always happening either. And then I'm just going to take a dried baby wipe and press that down into place. Now, if you do get glue on the outside, just use your powder pouncer. And if you don't have one of these, you can make them really easy. Spectrum Art Creations sells them. I think Stampin' Up! May still carry them. And if you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I will list mine down below. But there's our Christmas card. And I will go back and I will use one of these sentiments from The Greatest Part of Christmas. And I think I'm going to use... the greatest part of Christmas is the time spent with those we hold most dear. So let's go ahead and pull that one out, and we can stamp that onto one of our mats. And it looks like this. So I'm going to pull this out, and I'm going to use my We Are Memory Makers Stampin' Jig. I love this because I don't have to use the whole platform. I can take this bottom part out, put my stamp in here, and I need to make sure I'm on the right side. And let me get a liner, because I'm going to need those to stamp on later anyway. I cut my liners from 32-pound printer paper. It's a nice weight, and it doesn't add bulk like a sheet of white cardstock would. And then I'm just going to ink this with my Tombow Mono Memento, just like that. And what I usually do to guide me is I use the feet to tell me where I need to go. Oh, let's put that on the bottom because apparently we got green ink on that one. So let's go this way. And there's my sentiment for the inside. Okie dokie, that's going to do it for me today. This was day 2 of our 25 days of Christmas. There is a playlist. I will leave the link in the description box below, as well as the names of these. Also, what I failed to do yesterday, and I have gone back and corrected it, there is a note in the description box that says inspired by, and if I was inspired by a particular, and I'm going to have to redo this because my cards are all going the wrong way. So there it is. That's my day today. So check out the links in the description box below. I will see you back here tomorrow for day 3. In the meantime, please remember to like, share, subscribe, and get started on those Christmas cards. Creative blessings.